a scion of many worlds. That man moves at an absurd pace, Horus mutters to himself before he opens the door to find the representatives of the free cities waiting for him. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm glad you were able to arrive so quickly. The portal network helped with that. One of the representatives states, I imagine it would, Horus states, glad to have an in with these women. It's just one benefit that you've already reaped thanks to my brother. And the more observant among you already know I'm leading up to how you can get more. We're already drowning in debt to him. He wanted a minor favor, and in the process of chasing the stupid task we gave him, he took on and annihilated our biggest economic rival and a massive bane upon our people. It was supposed to be a criminal hunt, but from the rumors circling around their leader was a dark goddess, and he ascended into divinity to stop her. And you think we want more debt to that absurd moth you call brother? The oldest looking of the women present says. She's a Lyrak who's gone gray with age and wears a simple outfit with the most distinctive part of her outfit being a bright green hat with a yellow band and a cloth flower sticking out of it. Well, how is he your brother anyways? You look like someone ripped the stones off an earth Aramenta. He's an Earthani. I get the whole male person thing. It always bugged me that we didn't have any. But seriously, how is some peeled Aramenta and an Earthani related? It's not a blood brotherhood, but there's plenty of strangeness involved. De-strange it then. She commands him, and he raises an eyebrow. My mind was copied, and the copy was placed in a living but empty body. This created Jasper Blue, Emmanuel's incomplete self. He then was placed on this world. The absolute hurricane that was his trek across this planet followed, and he then pulled off his first absurd action in that he regained the memories of the person his body was copied from, gaining more memories, knowledge, and the name Emmanuel Skitterway. Things got more absurd after that, and then he went on your little hunt, which now has him being worshipped as a god. So yes, he's my overachieving brother that doesn't seem to know how to stop, relax, or fail. Right. Okay, so there's a piece of you in him, and he remembers calling my mother mom, my father dad, and my brother's brother. What does that make him if not family? All right already, I get it, she says with a wave. Now what do you want? My brother's uniting the world, a full unification. Every surviving civilization is going to be a part of it, including yours. I'm assuming you didn't mean that to sound like a threat, she states, and Horus shrugs. Oh ho? Really? I get my armor on, and there's literally nothing you can do to stop me. But I'd rather not have to play hardball. I'd rather talk. I'd rather you talk too. You're one of the giants that the moth summoned to shatter the Slaver Empire? I was the one that helped him fight the so-called Dark Goddess. If you've heard of the battle and beams of light slamming into it from beyond the horizon, then know that was me, he says, and there is an uncomfortable shuffling around the room. Now, who's ready to listen? Anyone have any other questions before we get into what I'm here for? No one speaks up. Very good. Now, he's going to be married to the Serpent Empress in a short while. During the ceremony, they're going to unify Lacrin with an oath from each of the nations. Now, what is needed to get it from the free cities? We're free. You're getting no oath from us. So you want to be left out in the cold then? Horus asks. What? Simply put, the rescue that's arrived, the vast majority of the resources that are going to come, the protection from the elements that will take advantage of you. Horus asks, and there isn't an answer. He smirks. Back on my home world, the homelands of my ancestors has a saying, those who are cast out of the village will return to burn it down to feel its warmth, which is a dire warning not to simply throw out a part of a society, otherwise you create an enemy that loses nothing and gains everything in destroying you. What does that have to do with this? One of the women asks. Everything, especially how I'm trying to avoid that, but you're refusing to come in. I am holding open the door. I'm allowing you to enter. You just have to respect the village to be part of it. But you want to be free. he says with air quotes. Tell me, just so that there's no misunderstanding, what kind of free are we talking about here? Free to commit crimes? Free to make your own life choices? What exactly? Free to prosper and grow. Free to stay out of the problems of another and seek our own destiny. Free to leave and live. The gray old Lyrak explains, and Horus chuckles. You got a problem with that triple-sized? Not at all. In fact, it's so not a problem that those are the kinds of things that swearing to my brother will guarantee. Horus states, and he smirks as their attention turns to him. What? Did you think he wanted to micro-control every part of your lives? Even if he was that much of an asshole, there's not enough hours in the day to truly clamp down on a nation effectively. Sure, you can try, but you only make enemies doing it. Then what does he want? Lakran is opening up to the wider galaxy. This is a good thing in that a frankly absurd amount of wealth is on the way. It's also a bad thing in that the corrupt who will chase that wealth are either already with it, closely behind it, or trying to get ahead of it, so they're here to catch. And that's just the tip of this mountain of problems on the way. He wants to put a stop to that by getting in the way in such a way they can neither ignore him nor go around him, making it that they have to go through something a lot of them will think is outright divine to get what they want, which by itself will turn back most of them. And why is he so interested in protecting Lakran? What's in it for him? You mean beyond the fabulous amounts of prestige and power he's building? Horus asks in an amused tone. Yes. He's also part of the Undaunted. We're a small but skilled army that's in the process of growing. We want to use Lakran as a recruiting world. What? Once Emmanuel is in control, he's going to encourage people to sign up for the Undaunted. His main job and intention is just to protect Lakran as it builds itself up again. To do that, he's going to be recruiting and building a massive defense army, one that eventually grows so big it can spread out and help others, colonize other worlds. Tell me, how does the idea of the free cities expanding to build space stations in the ring of the nearby planets sound? There is amazing mining to be had here on Lakran, but can you imagine how much more is beyond the sky? The representative says. All right, I'm starting to see it. Why though? Why what? Why him? Who else on this world is so valuable? Honestly, think about the stories made about the man. Even if most of them are nonsense, he's already a figure of legend. You are all worried about your own profit and power, but what will happen if the peoples learn that you've kept them away from the galaxy? If the people beneath you learn what you're potentially denying them? A political knife to the throat. Lovely, the woman says. We do owe a debt. Would this wipe it clean? Another representative asks, and Horus shrugs. Possibly. I'm here because my brother is ignoring the orders to rest, and the less work I leave for him to do, the less he does. But he's already got most of the world agreeing. Do you want to be left behind? Oh, really? Most of the world? Bright Dawn, the Serpent Empire, the Breakaway Empire, the Mountain Clans, the Earthani tribes, the Grand Midwives, the Star Seekers, Greenstone, Miru. He's at... Horus begins before checking his communicator. He's got the Gold Lands and he's moving on. So the only unconfirmed are you girls, the Jorgwa tribes on the archipelago and the Fierce Feather tribes. Can we have a few minutes to talk this out between ourselves? The leader of the group asks, and he nods before leaving the room. The moment he fully straightens up just outside, and even before the door closes, he can hear them starting to chatter and bicker among themselves. He texts that he's gotten the ball rolling here to Emmanuel. He's halfway through typing that he'll get the other two when he receives an answer that his brother is going to be challenging all of the Fierce Feather tribes to battle at once. Because of course he is. He then texts to leave the Jorgwa tribes to him and at least bring Simone as backup. The thumbs up emoji does not bring Horus any comfort. The axiom flares from atop the highest mountain. Lady Allure had been an absolute wellspring of knowledge for how to deal with the fierce feather tribes. Not only was there the contest of tales, but there was a sacred challenge on the Pure Peak, a place that resonated with a natural Kutha deposit, based on the pattern he can sense. He guesses a stock meteor about the size of his head hit a natural girdle deposit, refining the Kutha alloy naturally. While the starburst pattern on the frozen stone he's standing on is interesting, his focus is what it's been used for in the past. A thrum of axiom from him reverberates down the points of the star and sends up a huge flare that travels up and down the range of the fierce feathers. The screaming winds tear at him and he lets his wings flap out from under his cape. He had brought with him a banner, simply put together and more a prototype for the upcoming wedding. It's simple enough, his own outline. A tome in one claw and the other hefting both shield and sword. Sheathed, but clearly ready to be used. Simple to the point and easily incorporated with a huge number of the banners, symbols, crests, and emblems that have been made for Isuraizen. If a better one comes up for him, he'll use it. But it's working so far. You challenge us. I challenge all. I will bring Lakran together as one world. By the tip of the tongue or the tip of the spear, I will be bringing the fierce feathers in today. Do you accept this challenge? Or are you too craven? That does it, and he outright ignores the arrows that rain down on him. Closing his eyes and tucking his wings back in means that there is nothing they can harm presented to them. When the storm of sharpened points ends, he opens his eyes again, staring down the shaft of an arrow. Fool! The woman chides him before letting go. Unfortunately, even a taunt that small is opening enough for his adrenal glands to kick in, and him to pour axiom into the resulting mixture. He dodges the attack. The arrow moves so slowly to his sped-up perception, he can study the grain in the wood of the shaft as it passes by harmlessly. His right claw is full of the banner's pole, so he uses it to sweep her off her feet. His left is free, so he plucks the arrow out of the air with ease. "A good first attempt," he calls out as the Saramali hits the ground in front of him. She was fast, cunning, and saw through his defenses. She's going to make an excellent recruit. Who else? I am not finished until all tribes sing my name. His answer is thousands upon thousands of winged women swooping down at him. Fun! What fun? He calls back. No dealing, no double-speaking or dealing with the offended fools, just a simple, straightforward problem with a simple, straightforward answer. He may as well be still resting. That easily? Horus asks, and he's answered by a coughing slash, barking slash, laughing bellow from the tribal elder. There are many there, but this one has been elected speaker by the ones older still. Apparently, it's a bit of a test for her. Your brother wants to protect us, open up the stars and let us otherwise live as we will, yes? Yes. Then we have nothing to argue. Those are fine things. We are fine with this. If he wishes to worry about bringing us more food or shelter from storms, then he is welcome to. We welcome him to do it. We will be there, the Yorgua elder says. Oh, thank you. I've been dealing with people with so much self-interest that it's almost impossible to get things done. This is so much easier. Easier, too, when you get the measure of another. We remember him. He respected us, spoke with us. When he got power, he healed with it. If he wishes to call himself king of all islands so that enemies look to him instead of us, then we will wear his color so he can do it. I see. Well, that's that then, Horus says before he gets an image on his phone. And he brought a film crew and not backup. Of course. May I see? The elder asks, and she laughs when Horus hands over the communicator. Why does he fight so many? Why do all them think they can win? Their spears snap on fur. Surely that's proof that stabbing doesn't work. Some people just aren't all that smart, and apparently Emmanuel's looking to bring in all the fierce feather tribes at once. That is how to do it. They respect strength, fighting all at once. Strong, fighting all and winning. Stronger still. She says with a nod as she hands back the communicator with a big smile that would make a crocodile go pale. Horus meets it with one of his own. We value seeing the simplest path here. So many are obsessed with making their lives harder. We turn away from that, so if he wants to keep us and our ways safe, then he is our friend. I'm glad to hear it. Although, these are beautiful lands. Would you mind so much if people were to visit to play in these sun-kissed islands? So long as they are respectful and let us live our lives, they may. Good, so I have a place I can hold the idiot so he stops overworking himself. Horus says grumpily, and the elder does her strange, deep-throated laugh again.